Most of the time, you're not hitting your goals because of two reasons: time on the task or skill set. So let's first look at the time on the task. Are you spending a minimum of 2 hours a day in an income producing activity? For me, it's something I realigned for myself, primarily because I sit in the sales seat as well in our company, but I am massively focused on those income producing activities. And in just a few short weeks, my pipeline is built up massively. So in the last video, we talked about our goals and coming up with priorities. And this is why I love this, because it translates so perfectly into this topic. This is a topic that I get asked a ton. They're like, Chaz, how do you do all the things you do in your family with 5 children, all the businesses, church activities, all the things that you're doing? How do you fit it all in? The cool part is when you are clear on your priorities, we can translate that to your calendar. So let me talk to you about how to create the ideal day, week, and month. Because when you master that, you can master anything. All right, so the clarity in this planning is really recognizing that we call it the ideal week and the ideal month and the ideal day. Not the perfect day, not the perfect week, and not the perfect month. I hear people say that all the time, and I actually push back on that because there is no perfection. It's about constant improvement over perfection. That's why I reference it as, and we do in Master Networks, we call it the ideal day, the ideal week, and the ideal month, because you're planning towards the ideal. So let's talk about that. The first thing that you want to do is plan for priorities. What are those priorities? And before we even get to the business priorities, what am I talking about? I'm talking about your priorities outside of business. Those have to get on your calendar. When are you taking time off? When are your vacations? When are you taking time for you? So for me, even before shooting these videos this morning, go to the gym. What are the things that are important to you that get on your calendar that are a requirement? They're a must. Those have to go first, not last. Take a minute, pull out your calendar, pull out a month, especially the recurring appointments, and get those on your calendar first and foremost. So what's your highest priority? Is it your family? Great. Get your date nights, your vacations, all of that stuff on your calendar. Let's do that first. All right, now that you have that on your calendar, the second step that we need to do is we need to go in and fill in your work priorities, the highest priorities. Now, if you did the last video, if you haven't, go back to the last video and create your 1, 3, 5, because you're gonna have 3 high performing priorities. And we're gonna take your ideal week first, right? Because a lot of these are repetitive. So people say, well, why don't we do the month first? Well, no, we're gonna look at the week, and then that'll break down to the day. So we'll take your week first. What time do you get into the office, and do your highest producing dollar income producing activities first. Think about yourself like your cell phone. When you start the day, your battery's high, and throughout the day, your battery's gonna go down. So why would you put your highest producing activities towards the end of the day? No, put them at the beginning, when your energy is the highest, when you're the most focused, before all the emails come at you, right? So now take your week and start putting in blocks of time for your highest income producing activities. This could be things like phone calls, knocking on doors, prospecting text messages out to people. What it typically isn't is I'm gonna make a Facebook post, or some social media post is directly interacting with somebody to get a response to, say, call you, book a call, email you. Then it's not dollar producing, income producing activities. There's only a handful of things that are, right? Maybe following up on proposals, maybe it's sending out an invoice or a proposal. Get those dollar producing activities on your calendar first. And you probably need a minimum of 2 hours a day on income producing. It's fascinating when I have a client in our coaching program or in my inner circle that I sit down with, or any Master Networks member, when I sit down with them and they say, I'm not hitting my goal on my 1, 3, 5. One of the first things I do is ask them to produce their calendar, because their calendar will tell me everything. Most of the time, you're not hitting your goals because of two reasons: time on the task or skill set. So let's first look at the time on the task. Are you spending a minimum of 2 hours a day in an income producing activity? For me, it's something I realigned for myself, primarily because I sit in the sales seat as well in our company, but I am massively focused on those income producing activities. And in just a few short weeks, my pipeline is built up massively. And we're gonna start to see revenue increase over the next few weeks, because that's what I'm focused on in this ideal day and week. After you've got those income producing activities, you're gonna now go into, how do I service my clients, my prospects, et cetera. So that could be email follow-up, could be delivering the product or service that you've now sold. Spend that time doing that. And then the rest of the day, maybe it's the other priorities that you have in your 1, 3, 5. This is super important. And lastly on this, that I will just say is, write this down. You have to protect your time. You have to protect it. Again, going back to the beginning when I said, how is it that I accomplish all of these things? It's because I live by my calendar. My calendar tells me where I'm supposed to be. Half the time I don't know until I look at my calendar because it tells me where I'm supposed to be. I can share that with teammates, with staff, with partners, with my family, and now I can be really dialed in and focused. And if it's one of those high producing, high income activities, and unfortunately things come up, because again, it's not perfect. If something comes off my calendar, say I've got sales calls I have to make and an emergency comes up or something, with family that becomes now a priority, I have to erase that off my calendar, then I have to find another time to replace it, right? So if I have to erase it, I must replace it. That's just a key to live by as you look at this calendar. The last thing that it will do in protecting your time is that now you know what meetings to take and what not to take. So many business owners share this with me. They're like, I get hit up for meetings all the time. How do I know which ones to take and which ones not to? Does it meet your priorities? Does it help you move towards your priorities that again move to your goal? If it doesn't, then don't take it, right? Just tell people your time is already committed. Maybe you'll follow up with them next month and you'll be amazed at how many people it's just not that important. And we're wasting way too much time during the day in non-priority, non-income producing activities. All right, so go ahead, create your ideal week and your ideal month and your ideal day. And as you start to do that, live by that and protect your calendar. All right, we'll see you on the next video.